causing pain or discomfort, as in joint pain, muscular discomfort, entirely up to you. If you need to stop and have a little stretch, stop and stretch. If you can keep it going for as long as you can. Use your props, so the ball or the pillow if I don't have cushion, towel if I don't have a ball, and the band, the strap, a belt, anything that you can use for assistance. So if you started in a seated position, same as usual, see if you can find space at the front of the body. So making sure that I'm not slouching forward and dropping down, creating compression into the diaphragm, preventing it from breathing, from moving properly to create that breath. So see if I can sit up as straight as possible, creating space at the front so that the diaphragm can start moving up and down to create a nice relaxed belly breath. So softening through the chest, relaxing through the neck and the throat. I'm not breathing apically. I'm not allowing the breath to come up at the top of the chest. I'm going to see if I can guide it down into the belly. So it's a nice relaxed belly breathing. If you're lying down, use the mat. Just allowing yourself to relax completely onto the mat. The legs can be straight or bent. And then just being aware of the raise of the belly when I inhale, and then the falling of the belly as I exhale. So see if I can try and use the breath to help me calm down the body and the nervous system. So see if I can try and relax a little bit more. And then keeping the focus on the breath, to see if you can run the usual scan over the body. So if I'm lying down, comparing the pressure at the back of the right and the left shoulder, comparing the pressure at the back of the right and the left hip, comparing the position of the legs, the position of the arms. Is the head centered? Is it slightly off to one side? I'm not changing anything, just noticing where everything is and how I feel to begin with. If you're seated, think of the pressure under the seat bones. Is it the same pressure? Am I maybe putting more weight on one side than the other? Do I feel straight or do I feel slightly twisted or slightly leaning to the side? Are the shoulders at the same height? Is the head centered? So just noticing a little bit where the body is and how you feel. And then as you start feeling a little bit more settled into the position, the breath feels a little bit more relaxed, the body feels a little bit more relaxed, then I'm going to start focusing on the legs. Working through the hip joint first, I'm going to start going for a little knee drop, a little in and out. I'm going to focus on the right leg. I'm going to start pushing the leg out to the right, as far to the right as I can take it. And then I'm going to squeeze it all the way back in again. So picture the top of the leg, the head of the femur, just gently moving into the hip socket to allow that abduction, to allow the leg to move out to the side. And then bringing it back. If I'm seated, the range is a little bit limited, obviously, because I'm sitting on the hip, but I can still move the leg. If the leg is a little bit temperamental, so I feel it's a bit stiff or just doesn't want to move very well today, then I'm just going to use the hand to guide it. So I'm just going to guide it out if I need to guide it out, or if I feel that I need a little help coming back, I'm just going to help it coming back. So think of two sets of pulleys, one on the inside of the leg and one on the outside of the leg. I'm just going to let go of the inner thigh and then pull with the outer thigh. And then I'm just going to let go with the outer thigh and then pull back with the inner thigh. If you're lying down, as usual, making sure that the leg opens out, you're not rolling in that direction. So see if I can keep the pelvis level, see if I can keep the pelvis nice and still, the center connected, squeezing the leg back to the upright position, and then I'm just going to open it back out again. Making sure that nothing is pinching or catching in the hip or any discomfort in the groin. Two more. Opening and closing. One more. And easing back, relaxing the leg, relaxing the hip, adjusting the hips if you need to. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the other side. So letting the leg go out as far as this side will allow me to, and then coming back. The hips are staying level, the pelvis is keeping nice and still. Same as you did on the other side. Just notice the movement. Does it feel restricted? Which direction do I feel that I'm struggling the most with? Is it the opening? Is it the closing? Do I need help with the hand on this side, or does the leg move on its own? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back, relaxing the hip, releasing the leg. I'm going to change the direction of the movement, going back to the right side, going back to the first leg. Instead of abduction, I'm going to go into flexion. So what I want at this time is for the leg to come up and then ease back down. Same as usual. I might be able, especially in seated position, I might be able to lift the foot off the ground. I might barely be able to get the heel off the ground. It doesn't matter. See if you can focus the tension and the intention into the front of their hip. See if I can feel the hip flexors tensing to try and draw the leg up towards the chest, to draw the leg up towards the body. So it could be a very little movement. It could be a very big movement. Just being aware of the hip joint moving. So I'm not leaning backwards, I'm not swinging my way forward and back. I'm keeping the back nice and still and just trying to move it from the leg. Same if I'm lying down. See if I can encourage the leg to come up and then controlling it back. Trying to keep the pressure even at the back of the hips and into the back of the pelvis. 3, 2, 1, and releasing down, relaxing the hip, relaxing the leg. I'm going to try the same thing with the left side, with the other side. So picking up the foot and then easing it back down. And then as usual, I know that my right side is my good side, my left side is my stiff side or my temperamental side. So I might have to pay a little bit more attention to this side. Again, I might need to guide it slightly, so I might just use my hands, or I might just use the band to help me guide the leg into the lift and control and it up and down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back, relaxing the hip, but releasing the leg. And then I'm going to try and focus on the reverse. So this time, instead of lifting, I'm going to try and press down. So if you're seated, bringing the feet just a little bit closer to the chair. And then I'm going to start pushing down with the right foot into the floor. So I'm going to press down through the right foot. And then I'm just going to ease the pressure, press down with the left foot, and then ease the pressure. Same if you're lying down. I'm just going to push down in turns. And then as you press down, see if you can be aware. So as I push down into the leg, I can feel the front of the leg, the back of the leg, the back of the hip tensing, kind of like almost like bracing slightly to allow me to create that pressure. So if you're seated, see if you can start to put in some weight into the legs. So as if I was trying to stand up, but as if I was trying to stand up on one leg. So I'm going to push down through the right foot. I'm going to lean into that right leg as if I was trying to stand on it. And then I'm just going to ease my weight back onto the chair. Then I'm going to lean forward again, push down through that left, as if I was trying to stand on the left leg, and then easing back. If you're down on the mat, you're going to try and bridge your way up. So I'm going to push down through my right foot, and then I'm going to try and drive my hips up, trying to keep that other leg as light as possible. Then I'm going to ease down, push down through the left foot, and then driving the hips up into bridge, keeping the other leg as light as possible. And then I'm just going to ease down. So it could be a little lift, it could be a big lift, it doesn't matter. Again, I'm doing what I can with both right and left side. If you find, especially lying down, if you find that the back of the legs start getting a bit tight, a bit crumpy, then there's normally a sign that the glutes, the butt muscle is not doing a good job. So really try to focus the tension, the intention into the hip. See if I can really try to consciously clench that butt cheek. So I'm going to try and squeeze it and drive the lift. And then I'm just going to ease back, squeeze with the other side and then drive the lift. 4, 3, 2, last one, and releasing back, relaxing through the hips and releasing through the legs. So a little bit more movement through the hip joint. I'm going to start mixing the directions together. So if you're lying down, you might want to just move the left leg slightly out of the way. We're going to focus on the right side. I'm going to lift the right leg up. If I need a little support, I'm just going to use the band around the back of the leg to offer that support. And then imagine a pencil strapped to the tip of the knee, to your kneecap. I'm going to start drawing circles with the pencil up on the ceiling in front of me. So it could be a little circle, it could be a big circle, but try to keep the hips nice and still. So making sure that the hips are not suddenly rolling all over the place. Keeping the pelvis steady, making the circle just as big or small as it works for your hip, as it works for your leg. If you're seated, the range of movement is a little bit limited. I can still use the band around the leg, or I can use the hands directly onto the leg as the leg is closer. And then I'm just going to try and see if I can get that circle going. I'm trying to relax through the hip as much as I can. Making sure that as the leg goes round into the circle, there is no grinding, there is no pinching, there is no catching in the hip. So I'm trying to loosen up through the hip, feeling the tension changing a little bit through the inner thigh, a little bit at the front of the hip, a little bit into the side of the hip as I try to draw that circular movement as circular as I can make it. Then think of which direction you're going. If you need to have a little rest, have a little rest, and then going the other way. So I'm going to circle around the other way, noticing if there is any difference in the movement. I might find that now there is a bit maybe clicking in the hip. If there is click but no pain, it's fine. If there is click and it feels painful, then I'm just going to make the movement a little bit smaller. See if I can get rid of the pain. So I'm not straining the hip, I'm not creating pressure in the hip. 4, 3, 2, 1. And releasing back. Relaxing the hip or releasing the leg. I'm going to try the same thing with the left side. So imagine that pencil sticking out of the knee, and then I'm just going to start drawing circles with it. Again, using the arms, using the strap to help me guide the leg around, same as I did for the lifting and lowering for the side to side. See if I can allow the hip joint to relax so that the thigh and the
heel pelvis socket that can actually articulate it together so the hip is not locking and tightening up. See if I can try and relax as much as possible. Again, noticing the movement on this side, it feels smoother or it feels a bit grittier. I'm just going to find the range
that works for this side, making sure that I'm not forcing. And then same as before, if I'm lying down on the back, I'll see if I can avoid a big movement that is going to pull my hips in that direction. So holding the hips are nice and still, just the leg is gone. If you need the rest, or taking a rest, if you can, going straight into circles the other way. 2, 3, 4. Noticing any tension through the neck, the shoulders, or the jaw. See if I can be aware, making sure that the upper body is not tensing. So I'm just trying to move the hip joint, so I don't need to lock my jaw, I don't need to tense my shoulders, I don't need to clench my fist, I don't need to tense my arms. 2, 1, and releasing back, relaxing the leg, releasing into the hip, allowing the hips a little rest. I've got a little bit more movement through the hip joint, there's a little bit more activation through the hip joint. I'm going to try one more movement. This time I'm going to go for a full bridge, so a double press. So I'm going to push down with both feet at the same time. If I'm down on my back, I'm going to bridge my way up with both sides together, and then I'm just going to ease my way down. If you're sitting on the chair, imagine to be standing off the chair each time. So I'm going to push down into the feet, lean forward into the legs, and then see if I can get the hips to lift just slightly off the chair, and then I'm just going to sit back on. So I'm going to push down through the feet to squeeze my way up, and then I'm just going to ease back down. Using the hands to assist a little bit if I feel that I need a little support. And then coming back. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back, relaxing the hips and releasing the legs, and then I'm going to move into the shoulders. Same as we did for the leg, I'm going to start off with the front raiser first, one arm at a time. So I'm going to start raising the right arm up to the front. I'm going to take it up as the shoulder will allow me to go, easing the arm back, and then I'm going to go up with the other side. If I'm seated, the arm is heavier as I'm lifting against the gravity. So it doesn't matter if I can't lift it all the way up, just make sure that to take it up, I'm not using my neck, I'm not tensing and stiffening. See if I can keep the lift as loose as possible. So the shoulder is down, the neck is relaxed, I'm able to move my head side to side. There is no stiffness into the neck. If you're laying down, it feels easier as you're working with gravity. So the only thing I need to be worrying if I'm laying down is make sure that there is no pain in the shoulder as I'm taking the arm back. So I'm not forcing the arm where it doesn't want to go. And then I feel the movement, it feels easy on the right, the left may be a little bit stiffer or vice versa. I might find that there is a little bit of a click on the shoulder when I move the arm. As you get close to the point where the shoulder clicks, as usual, see if you can play with the position of your hand, just turning the hand a slightly different way. See if you can find the right position that create the perfect combination between the head of the humerus, the top of the arm, and the shoulder socket. And you might actually be able to get rid of that clicking noise. So I'm happy with the movement. I know which shoulder feels stiffer. I know which arm feels lighter to move, lighter to lift. Now see if you can lift both arms and see if you can go both arms together. So I'm going to raise them up towards the ceiling. If I'm laying down, I'll reach them behind. If I'm sitting up, I'm going to try and lift them towards the ceiling. And then I'm just going to bring them back. Paying attention to the stiff side, making sure that you're following that side and making sure that there is no pain on that side. Noticing the neck. If I'm seated, I don't want to end up with my shoulders up to my ears. To see if I can keep a nice long neck, a nice relaxed, soft upper body. 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing down, giving the shoulders a little bit of a roll, relaxing the shoulders, relaxing the arms. I'm going to change the direction of the movement. Instead of a front raise, I'm going to go into a lateral raise. I'm going to start with a single arm, same as before. So this time I'm going to just turn the palm to face away from the body, and then scooping the arm round the side, I'm going to bring it towards the head into a nice big swing. Then easing the arm back down, I'm going to scoop round with the other, and then bring it towards the head. Ideally, I would want my swing to be as wide as possible. Physically, I might find that hurts my shoulders, so I can't go that wide. It just feels as if it's catching, it's pinching, or it's grinding. In which case, I'm just going to allow the swing to become a little bit shallower. So instead of keeping it to the side completely, I'm just going to let it come around to the front a little bit more. So making sure that it's not upsetting the shoulder, it's not creating tension into the neck. So if you're lying down, instead of opening the arm and keeping it really close to the floor, I might just bring it away from the floor to make sure that the movement is still smooth on the shoulder. It doesn't catch, it doesn't pinch, it doesn't grind on the joint. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then easing back, relaxing through the shoulder. Again, I know which side I need to be careful with, so I'll just follow that side. That will be my lead side. And then this time I'm going to move both arms together. So I'm going to go for a nice big swing with both, and then I'm going to come back. A nice big swing, and then coming back. So think of a nice snow angel with the arms. So as wide, as shallow as it works for both shoulders, for both arms. Same as you did for the front raise. Notice where the shoulders are as the arms are coming up. I still want my shoulders to be down. I don't want my shoulders to be up into my head, creating all that tension through the neck and into the jaw, into the face. 4, 3, 2, 1. And releasing back, relaxing the shoulders, releasing the arms. And then I'm going to, same as I did for the hip, I'm going to mix the direction together. So I'm going to go into circles. So if you're on the mat, I want you to roll over onto the side. We're going to go chalk circles on the mat. If you're seated,
Pick a side that you're going to be working with. So I'm going to circle with my right arm. I'm going to start bringing the arm up to the front. I'm going to lift it up as high as I can. I'm going to turn to the back. I'm going to draw a big circle around the back, all the way down. I'm going to turn back to the front, and then I'm going to circle around again. Making sure that if you're seated, you're not moving out of the way to draw the circle, you're still nice and upright. So the circle could be kind of like a shallower. I'm not turning as much to the side. Just make sure that the movement feels smooth on the shoulder. It doesn't feel awkward on the shoulder. So I'm not twisting the arm. It feels loose, it feels relaxed. So if you're lying down on the side, tucking the knees up towards the chest, bottom arm, I'm going to stretch it directly in front of me, and then using something under the head to raise the head if I need to. Imagine to be holding a pencil or a chalk in your hand. I'm going to start drawing a circle around the body. So I'm going to start from the front. I'm going to reach all the way around to the back, and then returning back to the front, and then I'm going to circle around again. Ideally, I would want to keep my fingertips on the floor at all time. Physically, it might not be possible. So I'm just going to make the movement as big or small. And again, it works for the shoulder, it works for the back. See if you can work on that rotation. The hips are staying still, the knees are staying together. I'm going to turn the rib cage so that the arm has got a little bit more room to move. Same if I'm seated, keeping the hips nice and solid on the chair. And then turning the rib cage, giving myself a little bit more space to swing around. One more time, going around this way. And then easing back to the front. I'm going to reverse the movement. So I'm going to start from the bottom. I'm going to turn and then come up and around all the way back to the front. Changing the direction, it changes the movement through the shoulder joint as well. So again, I might need to start with a little movement, with a little swing. And then as I feel that the shoulder feels comfortable, I might open it up a little bit more, just making it progressively bigger as I go round and round. Same thing if I'm lying down. I'm going to start with a slightly smaller movement, and then see if I can, again, progressively make it bigger. 5. 4. 3. 2. 1. And releasing back, relaxing the shoulder, releasing the back. I'm going to try the same thing to the other side. So if you're lying down, rolling over onto the other side, switching yourself around, setting yourself onto the other side, making sure that the head is supported if you need the support. And then I'm just going to start drawing my circle with the other arm, all the way around, and then all the way around again. And then again, I know that my left side is the side I've got to pay attention with. The movement doesn't feel that great. So I'm just going to, again, just be a little bit more gentle, making sure that I'm not creating tension in the shoulder, making sure that I'm not twisting the arm at awkward angle that are going to create tension into the shoulder and into the neck. And then as the movement starts getting a little bit smoother, feels a little bit easier, I might decide to make it a little bit bigger. 4. 3. 2. 1, and releasing back, giving the shoulder a little bit of a roll, and then I'm going to try the reverse. So I'm going to turn around, look back, raise the arm, and then bring it back to the front. Turn around, scoop it up, and then all the way back to the front. So same as on the other side. I know that the first couple of movements are always the stiff ones, and then it gets a bit easier
as the shoulder and the back get a little bit warmer. So I'm just going to give the back a little bit more time to adjust, the shoulder and the arm to adjust. 3, 2, 1, and releasing back, relaxing the shoulder, relaxing the arm. It's a little bit more movement into the shoulder, and started movement into the back as well. I'm going to stick to the back. If you're laying down on the mat, I want you to roll over onto your back again, and then this time from rotation, I'm going to go into lateral flexion. So if you're laying down, you need to support your head with one hand. If you're sitting up, you don't need to support the head as the head is sitting on top of the shoulders. So I'm going to lift the head just slightly off the ground, supporting it with my left hand, and then with the right arm, I'm going to reach down the side, flexing down the side. Feeling the side of the belly tensing to pull me down in that direction. I'm going to bring myself back to the middle, switch the arms, and then I'm going to flex the other way. Come back to the middle, switch the arms, and then going to the other side. If you're seated, there is no guidance. If I could get the back against the wall, it will give you a little bit of feedback. So imagine a wall behind you as you're flexing side to side. See if you can picture your hips and your shoulders on that imaginary wall, making sure that you're not pulling away from the wall or you're not twisting into the wall. So see if I can keep the front of the body lifted and open, and then just moving side to side. So just a picture the top of your spine, just a bending sideways. So it's a little flexion down the right and a little flexion down the left. Imagine your ribs like a little concertina coming closer together as I flex down the side, pulling away from each other's on the opposite side of the rib cage. So squishing together as I go that way, opening up on the opposite side. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back, releasing the shoulders, adjusting the back. From lateral flexion, I'm going to go into forward flexion. So grabbing hold of the ball, mind the plug, making sure that it's not against the skin, as it might press on, it might bruise the skin. I'm going to place the ball up onto the top of the rib cage. So it's against the breastbone. So not onto the neck, not right onto the chest, just there. I'm going to get my hands onto the ball and then imagine to be taking the shape of the ball. So the breastbone is a bone, it doesn't bend. It's just like a solid bone, so there is no flexion or extension into the breastbone. But see if you can imagine the ball going inside of the rib cage. So I'm going to push it in, I'm going to try and wrap myself around it, feeling the upper back, kind of like a spreading wider and lengthening through. Then I'm going to ease my way back, and then I'm going to try again. I'm going to try and push the ball as if I was trying to push the ball inside the rib cage. I'm going to try and take the shape of the ball, and then I'm just going to ease back. So picture the ribs at the back of the rib cage.
They're opening up, spreading like a fan as you go into the ball, and then they're coming back into the more neutral distance, neutral alignment as you release back. If you're lying down, you can use one hand on the ball, one hand on the head. You're going to try and curl yourself into the ball, and then allow yourself to relax. Curl yourself into the ball, and then relax. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 more. And releasing back, relaxing the shoulders, releasing the back. It's a little bit more movement. At the back, I'm going to reverse that movement. So this time, instead of working in flexion, I'm going to work in extension. So allowing the arms to relax by the side. Imagine a little hook at the front of the rib cage. There is this time pulling your rib cage up. So what I want is for the back of the rib cage to lift away, arch away from the mat. And then I'm just going to ease my way back down. If you're seated, think of the upper back. I don't want to arch into the lower back, just the top of the spine. So think of that little hook onto your breastbone that is pulling you forward and then trying to lift you up at the same time. So see if I can, as if I was trying to bring the top of my chest up towards the ceiling, feeling the upper back extending, and then I'm just going to ease my way back. So I'm going to try and extend, and then easing back. Especially as if I know that I'm a bit rounded shoulders, a bit hunched and tight, the upper back will be really stiff. So really try to focus on the shoulders moving behind you. So I want the shoulders to go behind my rib cage, and then I want my rib cage to come forward and lift up at the same time. And then I'm just going to release back. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And releasing back. Relaxing through the shoulders, releasing through the upper back, and then trying to loosen everything up. I'm going to cross the arms onto the chest. Imagine the usual pencil that you using to draw circles. This time is kind of like sticking out to the center of your rib cage, so it's pointing straight ahead of me. So I'm going to cross the arms onto the chest. I can take my hands into the back of the head if I'm laying down. And then what I want is to try and draw a circle with that pencil. So I'm going to start going up into extension. I'm going to come down into a lateral flexion. I'm going to move forward into flexion, lateral flexion the other way, back into extension, and then round again. So see if I can try and draw a circle with the pencil on the kind of like wall in front of me or the ceiling above if I'm lying down. So see if I can try and really try to get the back to move in all the different directions. Keeping it small, making it big, as usual, making sure that the movement is not causing pain. It's just allowing me to loosen up a little bit more through the upper body. So I'm laying down, exactly the same thing. See if I can get into that nice circle, and then circle. 3, 2, 1. Reverse in the circle, drawing the other way. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And releasing back, adjusting the shoulders, adjusting the arms. If you're lying down, rolling over onto one side and in your own time, pushing yourself up into sitting. Finding a comfortable seated position, leaning against the wall, leaning against the sofa, just making sure that there's nothing that it might slide back. Finding the seat bones to see if I can seat as tall over the seat bones as possible. And then same as you did at the beginning, I'm going to try and find the space, but this time not just into the front of the belly, but all into the front of the body, all the way up into the throat. So I'm going to take a deep breath in, I'm going to start pushing the breastbone forward and then up. I'm going to roll the shoulders back, I'm going to drop them down and behind, I'm going to look forward, I'm going to look up, I'm going to look back as far as I can, and then I'm going to ease my way forward, tucking the chin down to the chest, around in the upper back, around in the lower back, coming forward as far as I feel comfortable, and then I'm curling back up again. Sending the breastbone forward, extending through the back, rolling the shoulders back, and drop them down, looking forward, looking up, looking back. And then releasing your way back to the front, rolling down as much as you can. And then one more time. I'm curling all the way back up. Try to create as much space at the front of the body as you can. Try to lift the rib cage up and away from the hips. Think of the front of the chest opening, the front of the throat to lengthening. And then releasing back. One hand on the belly, one hand on the back. Take your bow. Give yourself a clap on that. Any question or any